You're listening to How I Met Your Monster, a podcast that explores the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. My name's Zach.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Casey.
And together we dive into the world of horror to find out how filmmakers have introduced us to our favorite monsters time and time again. This is How I Met Your Monster.
You opened it. We came.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left.
Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some, angels to others.
Call you Meatloaf
Surprise, Sydney.
Thank you for joining us on a brand new episode of How I Met Your Monster. We are wrapping up our biggest fear triple feature with
Devil.
With Devil.
That's how you pronounce
Devil. Isn't that how you all devil every
Yeah,
time I
that's
do the
how
word
they
devil.
say it in the movie, yeah.
Because you must say it
Dude,
maniacally, like the devil.
we saw a guy in a restaurant the other day who looked like the berries and cream guy.
berries and cream, berries and cream. I'm not allowed to love berries and cream.
This is a Pennsylvania thing.
You know the old Starburst commercial? No, it's the old Starburst commercial. He's like a little
or Skittles?
Starburst.
Is it Starburst?
Yeah.
Berries
What
and cream,
happened to
berries and
Starburst?
cream.
I feel like I don't see them anymore.
Oh, they're still there. They make bags of all pink now.
I don't know.
See, I like yellow.
What?
Yellow's good. I don't like red.
What?
Yellow and pink. What else?
Orange is
Yellow?
the worst.
Orange
and
is
even,
the worst.
And even that is still good.
Yeah, orange is the worst.
It looks like
But
a
orange, I
Wilbur.
could argue, is like
Doesn't this look like-
creamsicle-y, kind of. And I love a creamsicle.
What world do you live in
And
where an orange Starburst is a creamsicle?
it reminds me of it. It
Okay.
has flavor notes of a creamsicle.
Okay, well, Starburst or no Starburst, we watched Devil.
Devil. You didn't say it right.
Devil. Oh, yeah. Devil. Bethany.
The devil is way more feminine than that. Devil, not devil.
Devil.
That's too masculine. That's good.
Can you say devil in the House Bunny voice?
That's what he was trying to do.
So with that accent,
Not
but
Yoda.
Devil. I'm trying to like gravel my voice, but do the like accentuate it the way that Casey did, and it's just coming out like Yoda. My brain like can't. Those wires don't cross. Devil.
So we watched Devil. I'm just going to call it Devil from now on. We watched Devil.
Do we think it was originally called Elevator?
Ooh.
Was that the working title?
It should
Because
have
like
been.
why? Because Devil seems so simple, and it's about the devil in an elevator. I could 100% see like this script as like a spec, working title, Elevator. Someone was like, no, too corny, stupid. We need to like dumb it down a little bit, sand the edges, and then through that process of kind of watering it a little bit, it was like, well, let's just go with Devil. It's about the devil. Let's just do Devil. And that's the journey that I imagine.
Oh, man. I
That's
how they
love
got to that
Elevator.
title.
Elevator is a K-pop song.
Right? How do you not call it that? What is it?
A K-pop song by Stray Kids.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That could.
They could have
Well,
done
rumor has
the...
it this movie was based on that song.
That song came out like 4 or 5 years ago. So
That's why it's crazy.
yeah,
They're
that's
still
crazy.
trying to figure that out.
But we watched this movie, which I will refer to now as Elevator. Thank you. We watched this because, Danny, of your fear of small spaces.
Confined
Confined
spaces. Yeah, small
spaces.
spaces, confined spaces.
What do they call that?
Just feeling trapped.
Claustra.
Claw. I believe it derives from Santa Claus, and it's originally was the fear of Santa Claus, claustrophobia. But then because Santa Claus is always catching himself in tight spaces, like when he goes down chimneys, it's sort of evolved into being a common fear that the everyman can have.
Zach believes you.
And thus, claustrophobia.
Okay, so I know he was joking, but that makes so much sense.
It does. As I was saying it, I was like, wait a minute.
The
Am
fact
I
that
onto something here?
Santa Claus goes into tight spaces.
Yeah, he's always stuck in the chimney.
Santa claustrophobia.
Oh my.
But that's not actually how
goodness.
he goes down. He basically transports.
Listen, we all have our theories for how Santa Claus's powers work.
Yeah.
We've got the Tim Allen Santa Claus, where he just kind of like magically just slims himself down into the space. In some, he sort of turns into a kind of airy presence and disappears his physical form for a moment.
Ooh, I like the Krampus way of coming down the chimney, where it like splits, like everything like breaks and splits and cracks, and like his claws come out. Ah.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to tear that shit up,
That's
and
right.
then you know it's Christmas. Like if your fireplace is just destroyed and your dad is screaming because like the holidays, this always happens, you know it's Christmas. You know?
Yep.
Or your dad went down the chimney and you didn't find him for 5 days.
Yeah, because his neck broke.
Like in Gremlins.
And now you hate Christmas.
That was the dumbest thing ever. Oh my god.
Did you guys like the movie Devil? I mean,
I did
you
actually.
guys
I
like
thought
the
it was
movie Devil?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I did.
You
Yeah.
did.
I had a lot of fun.
I find that very interesting
Why?
because it's not good. I like it.
Yeah.
But it's not good.
You don't think it's good? Like, I'm curious.
I think-
I'm curious what makes it not good in your eyes.
I thought all of the acting was terrible.
All of it?
Really?
Wait,
Yeah,
I need to
like
have IMDb open for this.
every time the Detective Bowden, every time that he spoke, I laughed.
Really? Chris Messina.
Yes,
Who's kind of having a blowout year this year. I just watched him
I'll
in
give
that
you a
movie
blowout.
Air about Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
What?
I just watched him in that too.
You watched it? What'd you
Mhm.
think?
We're not talking about other movies.
We're talking about Air real quick. It was enjoyable, but I don't think
Yeah.
it was very good. It was kind of just like, it was very well made and whatever, but it was just cookie cutter. And the fact that we already know that Michael Jordan signs the contract with Nike, like, what
There's
are
no
you
mys-
gonna?
There's
like,
no mystery.
Yeah, it was like all these moments,
Yeah,
like
no, I get that.
all this like tension and suspense. Like, is he gonna do it? And waiting for the call and this. It's like, he calls, or however it plays out. But it was enjoyable. I thought there was a lot of stuff where it was like, oh, we need to throw this in. We need to throw in this 80s reference because it takes place in the 80s. You know,
I mean, the whole opening montage is just cutaways to random 80s things.
right. But overall, it was good, but not.
I get that. I think I went into it feeling, I honestly don't even know why I put it on. I wanted like an easy watch, and I was like, ugh, like even in the first couple minutes, I was like, I feel like I'm going to hate this movie. And I was just like in a mood, which I feel like I was projecting onto the movie. And then about like 20, I don't know, let's say between 10 and 20 minutes into the movie, I changed my tone. And I was like, wait, this is fun. I'm easily, I'm a sucker for like inspirational movies.
Sure.
And I think because my expectations were so, I'm putting my hand up, but they were so low that I think there was only, you could only go up from there. Not unlike an elevator.
Yeah.
If we want to use that.
Yeah, Casey, aren't you glad you
As a little
mentioned
segment.
Chris Messina, Detective Bowden?
No, but that
I like him.
reminds me-
I like Chris Messina.
Sure,
Yeah.
but not in this movie.
You don't think so? Okay. I mean, that's
I
fair.
thought I liked the movie. I thought it was fun. I had seen it before. You guys haven't, right?
Yes.
It turns out that no, it was not
Oh.
the first time I had seen it. However,
Oh,
I did not remember how it played out
Okay.
interesting.
because I was watching it. I was like, this all seems kind of familiar. I've seen it. And I was like, okay, maybe I've started it and just didn't finish it. But as the movie went on, I was like, okay, I think I've seen this before. But I did not remember, like I said, how it plays out. So I didn't, that was still a shock to me.
Oh, well, that's good. See, that's funny. I had never seen it, but I was spoiled. That had the ending spoiled for me a while back. So I knew who the titular devil was.
I had seen it. It's fun. I like it because it's fun. It's interesting. It was new. It was very short, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny you say that. Did you guys know what this movie was and what it was part of?
I did some research when this came on, and during the opening logos, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
The Night Chronicles.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then they show a number 1.
The number 1.
And I was like, okay.
Yep.
I bet this was going to be like part of a thing, but.
Yep. Well, it was. And I completely forgot that was a thing. I remember when this movie came out, that was like this big, M. Night Shyamalan was going to produce these movies. They were going to be one-offs, part of kind of an unrelated series called The Night Chronicles. And he was going, I think the idea was that they were all based on stories that he had come up with, and then he would executive produce, and then he would hire a different writer and director for each movie. And the one that was coming after this one, it was all planned. They were going to start with Devil. They were going to be kind of lower budget, short and sweet, kind of like little mini bites of horror, or at least thrillers. And the one that was supposed to follow this up was called Reincarnate, which was like supposedly a paranormal kind of take on 12 Angry Men. Okay. They had the directors, the director, the writer, and then it just didn't happen. And that was it. So it's kind of sad when you see that logo come up in the beginning.
Yeah.
The fact that it has the 1 is almost what makes it sting even more. For Night, because it's like, oh.
But like Blumhouse does that now.
Yeah.
They just have like a ton of these movies that are just like low budget, and why couldn't M. Night do it?
Maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe it was around that time where it was like, we don't need this to be some niche, market for, lower budget horror movies, standalone horror movies. Like, let's just do that in general. Like, let's put out low budget horror movies, like what Blumhouse is doing. Maybe that was it.
So here's something that stings a little bit.
What?
And we're not talking bees.
So M. Night Shyamalan wants to do this Night Chronicles thing with all these low budget deals.
The
Did I say night? The Night Chronicles.
Sorry.
And people are like, no, it's not going to work. But then Blumhouse goes and does it. Blumhouse produced his movies The Visit and Split and Glass.
Oh.
And I don't see if they did Old or not. Yeah, I don't think they did Old. But, I mean, it's like, come on.
Yeah, that's a little
like,
rude.
That sucks because, like, he tried to do it and they're like, no. And then, like, they come back years later and they're like, hey, do you want to make these low budget movies? And he's like, fine, fuck.
So I feel like we can basically, I mean, it's different because the whole idea was it was just stories. It was based on his stories and someone else did it. But maybe who's to say that some of these ideas wouldn't have been Night Chronicle entries like Old? Because Devil does feel kind of like has that Twilight Zone-y vibe, like it's a morality tale. You kind of like this does have sort of, for more or less for at least one character or two characters, kind of a happy-ish ending in the grand scheme of things. Whereas like Twilight Zone is like, everyone's a little roughed up by the end. Mm-hmm. But I think you could argue that some of his movies could have been entries in the Night Chronicles.
Yeah. Maybe in his head they still are. And he's like, fuck yeah, the Night Chronicles number 6.
Yeah, they're like, Night, what are you working on? He's like, Night Chronicles 6. Old. What were you saying? What did you say about Night? Nothing. He said old.
He's been so successful that, I mean.
Yeah. Night, let us chronicle your success with our love of your work. You don't have to do the chronicling for yourself. Leave it to us.
We'll chronicle for you.
Yeah.
We'll chronicle for you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if you guys know how I feel about him.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I know you don't like him.
Wait, why?
That's not true. I don't know him.
Hmm.
I guess his movies I do not like. Besides The Sixth Sense and The Village.
What
What
about Signs?
about Signs?
I saw Signs at the drive-in theater with my good friend Jess Youngs, and we were like 12, and we thought that it was really funny. If I watched it now, I might like it. I might not feel that way, but
My friends and I would go to the movie theater. We would go to the movie theaters. We would go to the movies every Friday.
Uh-huh.
And we would get dropped off by our parents, and we would go see a movie, and we saw Signs. That is one of my favorite movie theater experiences of all time. First of all, you would think like a group of 8th graders are going to be so obnoxious. And maybe we were, but my memory of this movie theater experience was that we were so invested in Signs, and there were certain scenes where everyone just like, screamed. But I will never forget the scene when Joaquin Phoenix is watching the news where it shows the footage of the alien for the first time walking across the screen. People freaked the fuck out. It's funny because like I'll go back and watch that scene and it doesn't like scare me, but I remember the fear that we all had on that night, which makes me love that scene so much more, which makes me also plays into why I love the movie in general. But yeah, I don't know. I love Signs. So I'm just like, I will be like the biggest Signs apologist. And I think you
so
feel
good.
the same way, Zach. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I fucking love it so much.
It's so like such a cozy little movie too, because you're just at this really nice farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, and like the corn stalks, like for some reason just feel safe, and like you're in a little nook. And then even the aliens, like they're not really that scary. It just feels like, I don't know.
Danny, the aliens are in the corn.
Yeah.
Spoiler
How
alert.
does it feel safe?
It just feels so like, like I want to be there. I don't know what it is.
With
I want
foil
to,
on
when
your
they're
head?
eating that Last Supper. Yes.
You want to, wait a second. You want to be at that supper where he like yells at everybody to stop crying and like.
All I remember from that scene is the hug, Zach. And that is one of the warmest hugs I've ever seen. When he pulls Joaquin Phoenix in by the shirt and is like, you are part of this family, and they're bonding and everyone's bonding. M. Night Shyamalan is so good at doing like a horror movie on the surface and then like this beautiful, and sometimes it doesn't always work. And that is like a subjective thing. But for the most part, he's really good at balancing that scale of like, this is a horror movie, but there's more. And it's this beautiful tale of like humans and humanity and family and, overcoming grief and whatnot, which the genre is just so good at in general. He's really good at working the tools within the genre, which I think is why he's so, he's such a prolific and successful filmmaker nowadays.
Yeah. But you know what?
What?
M. Night Shyamalan didn't make this fucking movie.
No.
He did not.
You know who did?
He merely planted the seed.
John Eric, I'm going to say Dowdle. John Eric Dowdle.
Zach, I just want to say, you can say whatever you want. Say it. Say it again.
But Danny, John Eric Dowdle made this movie. But Danny, what's funny is that you were also going to pick another movie to showcase your claustrophobia for this series. And that movie was As Above, So Below.
Yeah.
Which was also made by John Eric Dowdle.
So I didn't know
That's
that.
so funny.
But there are, in the beginning, in the opening credits,
where everything's upside down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was getting As Above, So Below.
Oh, that's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, but I didn't realize it was the same person.
Can I ask, speaking of that, what was your, and maybe you didn't have one, but what was your interpretation of that? I have one and it feels wrong.
Of what?
But did you guys have any idea of like what the creative choice was to show everything upside down like that? Or was it
As
just
above, so
to
below.
be Yeah.
Well, so when I
Good and
saw it,
evil.
I was just like, what the fuck is with all of this upside down stuff? Because they did it in Smile too. And I know there was a big, 12-year gap, 13-year gap, whatever.
How dare these two films that came out 12 years apart have similar cinematography?
The bottom is on the bottom. The top is on the top. Why are we changing things?
No, but so we recently watched Smile, and I had not seen this.
Why is every movie filmed right side up?
Although you guys did, not to keep cutting up, but you guys had a good explanation for that, which I'm sure you're probably going to get into. So, for Smile, at least.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not.
For this? I mean,
no.
For this, it's not.
For Smile, I thought it was I think if I remember right, I came up with something about turning your frown upside down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. Totally
good.
justifies it. Yeah.
But this, I don't know. I'm interested, Danny, to hear what you thought of this, because I had no idea. I just was at first I was annoyed.
What about what I thought?
Well, because Danny, okay. I care about what you think, Casey.
I have thoughts too.
But Danny clearly.
Is this because I'm a woman?
But yes, it is. I don't care what women think about upside down cities. I'm sorry. No, but Danny made it very clear that he had something to say about this.
I made it clear that I had a bad take on this. And was hoping you could dig me out of it. But
I just know that when it started, I was annoyed. But then as it kept going, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyways,
this is
Danny.
cool.
Well, hold on a second, Danny.
Now I feel like I lost. I feel like I had a...
Well, you just think about that for a second. Casey, what are your thoughts on this upside down cityscape?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to steal from you, so...
Do you guys know what as above, so below means?
No.
No, I actually don't.
Okay. There is always a correspondence between the laws and phenomena of the various planes of being and life.
Okay.
So the devil being here with us, right, would be phenomena.
Well, I thought there was something to do with the fact that the movie's set in an elevator. Elevators go up and down. Hell is kind of associated with down. But then I thought it was interesting because the movie starts off with someone jumping to their death. So we're kind of subconsciously honed in on the idea of gravity, down, I don't know. But then when you think of the universe, there is no up and down, hell isn't below us. So I thought what they were trying to do was because we're playing with this concept of gravity and traveling up and down, the fact that hell is actually sort of kind of all around us. But hell being representative of evil or bad,
sure,
and heaven and God being representative of good. So it's not so much as we're going down. That's the simplistic take on what hell is as being this place, when really it's just sort of people and the choices we make. So it's we're showing this movie, and that was a visual indicator.
I mean, that's kind of what as above, so below is.
All right, so we broke it. We figured it out.
Yeah. Okay. As above, so below.
Yeah. Zach's yeah, for sure, guys.
For sure.
Yeah. Let's close the book on that. We nailed it. There is no up. There is no down. There is no good. There is no bad. We are all capable of evil. We are all capable of good. It all comes down to choices. Just because you're physically going down does not mean you're going down in spirit.
Yeah. It's interesting because they're all monsters in this movie, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're all capable of transcending their choices by redirecting themselves, or at least taking responsibility and accountability for what they've done.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
Case
say
is
no. No. I mean, that's what the goal was, right? That's how the mechanic, as he's called, got out of his fate, was just by admitting that he killed somebody, or he killed people.
So speaking of going down,
we'll go.
Where are we going with this? Ooh, getting sweaty.
Are you guys ready to get on this elevator and meet some monsters?
Yeah.
Sure.
Can we what are they called, the people who are in elevators who do the, like Shirley MacLaine in The Apartment? What's that job? An elevator
Like a
technician? But I feel like there's a word for it.
Bellhop, a doorman,
Person who
button
mans
pusher.
an elevator.
Let's just refer to it's Shirley MacLaine in The Apartment. Shirley, we're heading to floor 666. She's like, wait, do you mean
Oh, it's
floor
just an
6?
elevator operator
An elevator operator.
or a lift girl.
Hey,
Or a
Ella.
lift girl. It's a
lift girl. Why does it have to be a girl?
It also sounds a little bit like a hooker.
Oh.
I don't think that's what the purpose was. You guys are acting like
So they've got like 2 jobs. They're an elevator operator and they partake in sex work, is what you're saying.
Speaking of going down, let's go down on the fucking devil.
Why is it spicy?
Going down.
Isn't it funny how, as diametrically opposed as God and the devil are presented to us, they seem very much so kind of like on the same team in a sense of like, these people are doing the right thing. I got this. But then if those people aren't doing the right thing, the devil's like, wait, I got this. So it's almost like they're in cahoots. Like, hey, can you take this? Can you take Brenda? Brenda's being evil right now. And the devil's like, sure, God.
Brenda's
I'll
being
take
so
them.
difficult right now.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying, though? Where it's like they almost are like the devil's handling the bad seeds. God is handling
because
the
the
good
devil-
ones.
Because God is trying to get the good, the bad. I don't even fucking believe in this shit. God is trying to get the bad people to be good. And the devil is trying to get the good people to be bad.
That's
while
fair.
also having the bad people continue to be bad. So that they can party in hell with the devil.
Well, that's the thing is like the devil
With the
is,
devil.
by all accounts, like from what we're supposed to believe, is like the embodiment of evil. So you would think he wants like other evil people, but really he's punishing them. So it's almost like he's self-righteous for the it's like he's gatekeeping evil. Like,
No,
I am evil. No one else can be evil, and I'm not going to allow it to take place. And yet I'm hosting the space in which I'm forcing you to live for eternity.
he's punishing them because he was punished.
But you would think he'd be like, yeah, you evil people, like, come be my cronies. Like, we could live for eternity together.
Danny, if you wrote the Bible, that'd be spectacular.
But you would,
We should-
right, though? Like, you would
We should
think
revise it.
that evil people would
Should.
go to heaven and God would punish you in heaven.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? Because if devil likes evil shit, he would want to celebrate the evil shit. I don't know.
Yeah, but do you know
And yet
what
he's
heaven
so
is?
anti-God that he would be like, oh, you hate those people? Well, I love them. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm a little confused.
maybe I'm being a little, maybe this is a topic for another day, but
Well, you
it
can't
just seems a
punish
little
anybody in
contradictory.
heaven. You can't punish anybody in heaven because heaven is exactly what you want it to be.
It's all clouds.
But then you're arguing that God is sending the punished to the place that celebrates the things that they're being punished for.
Hell?
Yeah.
Hell is a big, black, dark room with absolutely nothing in it, and you suffer by yourself for eternity. So no, not really.
Well, not according to Dante.
Yeah.
But I would not, all right, I will just come out and say I'm not saying these things or asking these questions because I am pro or against or whatever. I'm simply just from a narrative angle, I'm just trying to like establish the ground rules. But we can move on.
The ground rules are that this is all made up.
You know what else is made up? This movie. Based on a script.
Okay, so
Now that we're done with that,
now that we're done with that, Danny, why don't you set up this movie and tell us what it's about?
Okay. The movie opens up in Philadelphia, and a detective is basically investigating a suicide. Someone had jumped from one of the top floors of this massive skyscraper. So he comes to investigate. While he's investigating it, that's basically the B plot of the story, even though that's how it all kind of like starts off. The A plot is about these strangers who enter an elevator, get stuck in the elevator, and realize that some malicious supernatural force is actually in there with them. And the detective kind of gets pulled into it because it's in the same building, and we realize that there may be more connections to all these strangers than we originally believed.
Okay.
And that is Devil.
That is Devil. Devil.
And so, question. Given the title of this movie, you would say that the devil is the monster in this movie. Mm-hmm. Is that accurate? Or would there be like a handful of monsters in this movie? Is everybody in the elevator a monster?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's why they're in the elevator.
Right.
It's because they are.
Because the narrator sets up that whole thing of like he was told these stories of the devil and how the devil would kind of like comfort people, and there was sort of there were signals and signs to kind of indicate that the devil's here and like shit's about to go down.
The narrator is Ramirez,
right? Okay, that was never they never specified, right?
They never said it, but then like in the movie, like Detective Bowden was like, he kept talking to Ramirez being like, in your story, what happens next? Or like, how do I beat it or something?
Okay. I wasn't sure if I had missed something, like some specific explanation.
No.
Okay.
Because I originally thought, because you know how M. Night is always trying to like put himself into his movies.
I thought the same thing.
I had written down M. Night Shyamalan is the narrator. And then
it sounded just like him.
But then at the end of the movie, I heard like Ramirez in there, whoever played Ramirez. I like that actor and I didn't get his name, but
Jacob Vargas.
Yeah. Jacob Vargas. I like him. But it clearly sounded like him at the end. So I was like, I guess it wasn't M. Night Shyamalan.
Wait, I just lost my train of thought.
I was asking if every person in the elevator was a monster.
Yeah, I think so. I think they were all monsters, and like the devil's role was more of just like judge and executioner kind of.
Okay.
Right? Because the devil was killing all these people.
Yeah. He wanted to take him. He wanted to take him to hell.
So he was just sort of doing it was all theater. He could have just come for them, but he was it was just theater to sort of put them through this ride.
Kind of what I thought was like, every time the lights start to like flicker and then you're like, okay, shit's going down. Something would happen behind the person who would be like the one who would kill the next person. Yeah. So like that was creeped out by the fucking mattress salesman guy.
Yeah.
And then so when the glass breaks, you see like some shit in the glass and it breaks. And then he wakes up, or the lights come on, and he's stabbed in the neck.
Yeah.
And then like later when Ben, played by Bokeem Woodbine, who's, I love him, he lights the match and then like you see like this fucking image behind him. Then the lights come back up and the old lady is hung because he was the one that had like in the fucking confrontation with her originally.
So do you think they were possessed?
Well, I thought the devil was like using them as like a puppet for for that.
And then the devil was just in there, but not necessarily one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
He would be like, I'm going to take over this person for a second and kill this person and then just be like chilling until the next time.
I think that checks out. That makes sense.
Oh, no, it was a woman the whole time.
But was it the woman or did the devil just like go into her body at the end and was like,
oh my God, that's such a good point. I didn't even think of that.
He just like picked a body in there. It could have very easily been somebody else.
Here's where I would argue. I think that's a great point. Here's the only thing I would argue is at the very end, they show the security footage of the older woman stealing the purse or wallet from that person in the lobby to kind of indicate like, look, she's a criminal too. I read it as the devil was using that as a fake so that when they were looking for IDs, they'd be like, look, I have an ID, or really the devil wouldn't have an ID. Because then later they say they thought that the woman had signed in and they assumed that she was someone named Jankowski, only to later find out that his last name was Jankowski and they had fumbled that. So my impression was that was the devil. The devil came there, stole the wallet to be like, look, this is who I am. And then that was it. There's no identity at all. But now that you say that, the fact that like maybe she was just this person who was a pickpocket and maybe the devil just used her body in the very end as a vessel.
Yeah, that's what I think, because if the devil is what people say the devil is, why would he or she need to go through all this trouble to like steal someone's identification?
100%.
Their Pennsylvania driver's license to be like, here's who I am. No problem.
He goes back to hell. They're like, his minions are like, did you get it done? He's like, to be honest, I couldn't find anyone's wallet. No, none of them were just out and about. So I had to call it a day.
I just called it. That's it.
Yeah, it was just tough. It's not easy.
They're like, so you didn't get anybody. No. He's like, I'm in charge here.
Yeah, what are you? You guys are minions. Why are you even talking to me right now? You should be, like spreading brimstone and whatnot and stoking the fire.
Banana.
I feel like if you took the scene where they're all getting onto the elevator for the first time, I feel like there's like a lot going on in that scene that you could go back and watch it a few times and be like, and notice things here and there.
There.
I think so. Yeah. I feel just the way it was shot, I was like, okay, there's a lot going on right here. And we're meeting like all of our characters. They're all getting together. Like there has to be like some little hidden things in this. There has to be.
Oh, probably. Well, they're all such like distinct characters, and not that they're like caricatures, but that is sort of how they're presented to each other. The fact that like he's the quippy, annoying salesman guy, and then the mechanic is like the brooding, mysterious warrior, and the old woman is sort of like the meek, quiet, like there's nothing under the surface here, definitely.
Dude, she was a bitch.
Yeah, like we're sort of getting like the surface level stereotypes that are presented to us. Yeah. And then you realize that there's actually so much more beneath the surface, for better or worse. Some of them, they all have committed a crime in some sense. It's sort of maybe that has something to do with the theme of the movie because at the end, spoiler alert, the mechanic ends up kind of subverting the expectation that the devil has to be like, oh, all these people are bad and I'm going to punish them. When in reality, he's like, oh no, I'm really sorry for what I did. Like, take me, I'm willing to sacrifice myself. So it's like the movie's all about choice. Like you can choose, you can be thrust into situations, which could be choice, where you do the bad thing. But ultimately, you have the choice to sort of reroute. You can be good. So I think it's kind of like in The Breakfast Club. You get these characters who are stereotypes. And by the end of the movie, you realize that the stereotype is just what society has kind of placed on them. They actually are so similar in the end. And they are capable of making decisions, based on their personal choices, not just based on what society has told them they should be like, or what expectations have, or what people have expected of them, basically. Yeah, this is the Breakfast Club of M. Night Shyamalan movies, is what I'm trying to say.
I think it's interesting that he's the one that ended up living, but he definitely did the worst thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think they did that?
Because
they had to come full circle with the detective.
Yeah, there was that whole bit where Ramirez was like, I wrote it down. What did he say? He said, Ramirez says, there's a reason we're his audience. Which was just like, oh man, I thought this movie was so good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Basically, the movie is just a series of getting to know these people and realizing that they've all committed crimes in their own unique way, and that they are there because they are being punished along with the mechanic character.
Right. So the first person to perish in the elevator is the salesman.
Yeah.
Who went down
Played by-
with that famous line, "Why don't you suck a butt?"
Yes, he did say that. So why was he a monster? What did he do?
They said he started like a Ponzi scheme
Yeah.
or something, and like a bunch of people lost a whole lot of money
Yeah.
or something. And so like,
He's like a swindler.
yeah, I wonder why he was going to the Better Business Bureau. Don't you think he would want to stay away from the Better Business Bureau?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that guy always reminds, I've seen him in some other stuff, and he always reminds me of Booger from Revenge of the Nerds.
That's so funny. See, I
I've never
can't
seen it.
watch
What's
him
that guy?
without
Curtis
thinking of...
Curtis Armstrong. Curtis Armstrong.
Oh, 100. They're like this. I wonder if they're related.
No, I think
Because they're kind of in the same, because he was in Super Troopers, which is like
that's
our
what it
generation's
was. Okay.
Animal House and Revenge of the Nerds.
Snozzberries taste like snozzberries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out.
Can't pull over any farther. He's already over.
Yeah, no, I totally get Curtis Armstrong vibes.
That's so funny.
So the second person is Sarah, right?
Sarah. Yes.
The young woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sarah and Ben are the only ones who have names, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah.
So Sarah, what did she do?
Well, she was doing something where like she was sleeping with other men, right? And behind her husband's back.
Yeah, she was doing something about like stealing money and stuff, and then all the cases got dropped because she like married into this like super rich
Right.
thing, and he probably like, she's not going to take my money. She loves me
the guy
for me.
who owned the security company.
Yeah.
Her name is Sarah. She's married to a rich man, and she plans on leaving him after stealing all of his money. And she's done it before to people.
Okay.
Okay, so I was right, kind of, that she was taking advantage of these people and profiting off of them.
Yeah.
So I knew
Yeah.
there was something there. So it wasn't just the guy. Caraway was the guy who owns the security company.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Caraway knew what she was going to do.
Yeah.
So Ben was there to take her out.
Yep.
I don't think that was true, though.
Oh, really?
Well, they
Yeah, I
used
think
that comparison. They were like, there was that sniper who killed he was hired to kill a wife, but then had to kill other people to make it so it didn't connect back to the guy. And they assumed
Right,
that was the
so
case
I
with
don't
Ben and Sarah.
Right. I don't think that was actually what was happening. They were just trying to figure out what was actually going on in there. They were trying to figure out who the killer was. And that was why they thought that it would have been Ben.
So that was to throw us off, to say like that would be the logical,
Right.
non-supernatural connection. But then we realized actually the devil has just brought them together.
Yes.
Okay. So Ben was not there to kill her.
Right.
Okay. So it was
not-
just like a red
not
herring
that-
kind of.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That's what I think.
That makes sense.
Um,
Yeah, what was Ben's whole... He just worked there. He wasn't actually doing anything. Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot... This movie is 80 minutes, but there's a lot to chew on. Like, a lot of characters, a lot of backstory, a lot of context. And I would almost argue... I wouldn't say this is a criticism of the movie, but if I had a note, this movie could... You know, it's funny because they said that the next movie they were going to do in the Night Chronicles was like a supernatural paranormal spin on 12 Angry Men. And I actually feel like this movie could have worked as like a play if it just focused on them in the elevator. You know, like let the conversation kind of pull these things rather than... I get it. You have to keep it like cinematic. You have to keep it moving. So you have like the security and the detective and everything. I almost would have liked a little bit more of that to get like, yeah, who are you? Like talk, like get messy with your dialogue with each other. Yeah, let's talk about why everyone's there. So you have the mechanic who's there. He's going in for a job interview.
we didn't even finish talking about why the people are bad, Danny.
But I'm trying to understand like why they're there in the first place. And whether or not what they're doing has, if it's like directly related to their
for the-
crime or if it's just coincidence.
He worked for the company.
Right.
He worked for the security company for the building.
I know.
So that's
But
why
he
he's
had
there.
just got hired.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that he was there to take out Sarah.
Yeah.
But
he also just worked there.
But like when Detective Bowden was like, oh, this guy's got a history of assault and he did all this stuff. He beat someone into a coma. And then he like looks at whoever and he was like, oh, great job hiring. And they like basically great job doing background checks on your new security hires, guys. Which makes sense that Carraway would have just placed him in there.
Yeah.
Without going through all the
Yeah, but the devil also
background.
could have just done that.
Yeah.
Made sure that he got there.
Yeah. As you know, as the saying goes, the devil works in mysterious ways.
The devil.
The
Devil's in the details.
Devil is in the details. And
Love in a elevator. Classic phrase.
love in a elevator. Burning them up while I'm going down. Yeah. And then you've got the old lady.
Old biddy.
Is that offensive? Old biddy.
Not to me.
You got the old lady
She's-
who's just so, I mean, she reminds me of the character in The Mist, that lady.
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
Marcia Gay Harden? Marissa Gay Harden? I don't know how to say her name, but oh my God, she was,
Oh, what is her name? Mrs. Carmody.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Carmody. What a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, and she was very religious. And then this is a very religious kind of movie. And
I'm really hung up now on like, was she the devil to begin with?
see, I don't think so. I think the devil was just there floating.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that
then-
makes more sense now, but it was
Yeah.
like, I liked thinking that it was her the whole time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because when I was watching it this time, it was like, I was like, they're kind of making it obvious because they're not, they weren't focusing on her or talking about her at all.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, they're kind of making it seem
Yeah.
obvious, but then she was hanged. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well.
Well, to be
That
fair,
classic
when the
Roman
movie
Bridger
was
scene.
when the movie was playing out, when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh shit, she was the devil the whole time." And then, like thinking
Think
about
about
it
it.
later, I was like, "Oh, it's probably just there."
Okay. I like that narrative. We'll stick with that.
And then you have the mechanic who you don't know what he did until later. But
Mhm.
who like? If there was one thing that I thought was silly about this movie, was that he wrote a note and put it on the windshield that said, "I'm so sorry." Like, was that just like a thing they needed to use to?
They
don't know.
very easily could have done without it.
Yeah,
Like,
I
they
feel
didn't
like he
need-
could have. He needed something to throw at fucking Ramirez. It's like,
right.
look at
And
this.
then the mechanic doesn't just say, I'm sorry. He says, I'm so sorry.
So you're
Oh,
specific.
right. And okay. Yeah.
Do you know what
Yeah.
that reminds me of? We're going to go into a little real life tangent right now. When
Oh,
I was in
no.
high school, we would always go to the Riverdale Diner. That was where everyone went late at night.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you went to the Riverdale Diner.
Yeah.
This is
24
bullshit. This is gonna be some fucking. This is a joke, right?
No, it's not. I swear to God. It was open 24 hours.
Riverdale.
Yeah, right? Now you're making me second guess myself. Google Maps.
Was Archie there?
I
521
never made
River
that
Road,
connection.
Shelton, Connecticut. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
it's
Riverdale
like the same.
Diner, River Road, Shelton, Connecticut.
Oh,
I
my
never
God.
put that together. That is so funny. But anyways, we would go there all the time. You would go to a house party. There would be a designated driver. They would drive you to Riverdale Diner. You would eat. You would be merry. You would leave. Anyways, we go there one night. We were but young teenagers. And we're walking into Riverdale Diner. And this person is driving in the parking lot, in this very full parking lot, and hits another car. And we're all, like a bunch of young, annoying teenage boys. And we're like loud and we're like, oh my God, like we saw that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the person gets out of the car and we were being such little dorks. And I just remember we went up to this person and we were like, if you like for $20, we won't tell anyone what happened. If we're just being jerks. Yeah, whatever. And this person was like, all right, guys, come on. Looking back, she probably wasn't that much older than us, but she's like, all right, settle down. And she's like, I'm going to leave them my information. You just relax. So we were like, being boisterous and loud and annoying. And we're like, oh no, come on, and she's like, no, this is the right thing to do. So she's writing her stuff down. She puts it on the door and she's like, have a good night, boys. And she leaves. And we're like, well, deep down, we're like, well, that was the right thing to do. We look at the piece of paper and it just says, I'm sorry for hitting your car. And we were like, wait a minute. You were the righteous one. We were the jerks. And all of a sudden it like completely turned. So anyways, I completely relate to this movie. I get it.
Oh my God.
Also, the diner in Riverdale is called Pop's Chocolate Shop.
Pop's Chocolate Shop.
Ah, shoot.
Son of a bitch.
But it was in Riverdale.
It was in Riverdale.
That was funny.
Okay, so Danny, you picked this movie because of claustrophobia.
Yeah.
I will say right now, and I'm curious to know how you felt about it. And I am quite claustrophobic myself. I did not feel any claustrophobia during this movie.
It is funny you say that.
I loved that it was like a movie where nobody trusts each other and like they're stuck in this space and they could do whatever. But like, as far as like feeling stuck in the elevator, it didn't. Maybe it was because we kept going out and into the rest of the world and that and stuff. What do you think?
I agree with you completely. I think going out of the elevator, I just felt safe. Because the whole thing with claustrophobia is the fear of not being able to get out of the space. It's not
right.
It's not necessarily being stuck. It's like, I'm never getting out of this. Like there's no escape. And also when because Ben is like the one like self-professed claustrophobic in the movie. Like he actually calls it out, which I was like, oh yay. Because I don't think in arachnophobia, he mentions arachnophobia. Okay, so at least they're talking.
But nobody in backcountry had a crudophobia.
Crudophobia.
It's just like, I have a crudophobia. What are you talking about?
Get out of here, bear.
But
she's like, she brought all those things. She brought like a road flare and like bear mace, and he's like, he's like kneeling down, putting it on her belly. He's like, what is wrong with you? You got a cudophobia?
Classic cudophobia. No, but right when the mechanic opened up the roof, I was like, oh, I feel great. I can feel the breeze coming
easy out.
I'm also surprised. I'm being nitpicky right now, but like, I would have liked them to play around in that space a little more. Like the guy who fell, the mechanic, had. Poor choice of words, Dwight. But the guy who worked at the building was.
Yeah,
I was thinking
Dwight.
of him as a mechanic.
Dwight.
He had that radio. I thought they were gonna do things where like they were climbing out of the elevator car to get the radio, and then that would have caused another problem, and maybe they tried to escape. I did feel like there was a little too much jumping around at the expense of the claustrophobia. But then I realized like, oh, I chose this for claustrophobia, but that's not necessarily like what they're going for.
Right.
So
sure. Yeah. I think I felt more claustrophobic in the elevator opening of Speed than I did in this movie.
Yeah, I wonder why. What do you think it was about that?
I don't know, because in that one they went back and forth too from the outside world to the. I think maybe it was more like because the lighting got real dark and like there was like an emergency light that was kind of on and people were sweating and stuff.
Well, to that point,
in this one it was it's still kind of bright.
I think it's even more. It's the escalation. It's the tension. In this one, it's is someone gonna hurt me? Whereas in that one, it's like this thing's gonna fall. Like there is X amount of time that this thing can last. So like everything, you can like feel the ticking clock kind of coming. This one didn't really have that. Because it's not like you could anticipate when the lights went out where people would attack. Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Oh, I wonder why they didn't do that. Why not have it where it's like this thing's going to fall? And like every other, few scenes.
Because it's not what it was about.
But just to like escalate that tension, like to get it like
just
where everyone feels like we need to get the fuck out of here or we're going to die. And like what you could argue is like a great way to sort of motivate people to kind of open up a little bit, like in Almost Famous when he's like, I'm gay because the plane's going to crash. It just like makes people say things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, after the salesman was killed, it's like, they're obviously all afraid for their lives.
Yeah. But I guess I guess the thing that I missed was like, there was nothing in our world that was like prompting those moments or like motivating.
Like you said, with the lights flickering and the blackouts, like there was nothing that says, oh, it's going to happen again in.
Yeah.
So
like
many,
every time this thing shifts, the lights go out, so it's like you have the physical threat and you have the impending threat of someone maybe dying.
Yeah.
It just like stacking on that tension could have been really interesting.
Instead of just like hurrying up in case somebody does something else.
Exactly. You're kind of racing an invisible clock that they're sort of setting, but we don't know who's setting it because we're already asking questions.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. We listen. We're not here to give notes. We're not script doctors. We're not even the spin doctors. So if you want to buy me flowers, just go ahead now. And if you... So yeah, we're not spin doctors, is what I'm trying to say.
That was good. Okay, so are you guys ready to talk about the reveals in this movie, which were a little tricky for me to write down? I don't know what you guys had.
What's going on here?
I don't see anything anywhere. That's how they get you. They're under the goddamn ground.
I have one.
The ending with the
obvious
devil.
one.
Okay. Yeah,
that's exactly.
That might be it. But some things I wrote down were the face in the choppy security footage that Ramirez sees. I put, with question marks, the attack on the woman in the elevator, like the very first attack where Sarah gets like bit or something on her back and like nobody knows
works,
how.
But is it a reveal? Because we don't know who does it.
Yeah. I think it's a reveal. I think it's the teeth marks are the reveal. Because that doesn't look human.
Yeah, but they were like, oh, it could be done with a serrated blade. Does anyone have a serrated blade? Serrated blade. Serrated blade. Serrated blade. Serrated blade. Anyways.
Sir Razor Blade.
Sir Razor Blade.
And see some of these, I don't know. Like I have the young lady who is Sarah. When she like sees all the people who are dead, she just like sees a elevator full of the dead people. And then like the glass shatters, which I think if we go back to what I was kind of thinking where the devil is just like using each one as a puppet for that time being, that would be a reveal. The devil's like, here I am. Like, here's what we're doing.
Yep.
There was a glitch in the kind of security footage where Detective Bowden sees dead bodies.
Yeah.
And then like it just like was for a second, he was like, what was that? And they were like, oh, just malfunctioned or something.
Just the dead body malfunction.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, you'll see every once in a while we just see a few random bodies in there. It's just the computer system. The reveal of the devil of some sort when Ben lights the match and then there's something behind him. Mm-hmm. And then I have the old lady devil and then Tony as being revealed to be the hit and run driver.
Yeah.
At the end when he says, we find out what he did. That was my last reveal.
I think you nailed it.
But ultimately, I would say that the reveal is the devil, old lady, whether it was her the whole
Which
time or not. I don't know.
Is my favorite.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that was when she has like the black eyes. That's pretty cool.
The
Yes,
black
I love
eyes,
the
yeah,
black
and
eyes.
she's talking like real devilly, right? And then he keeps saying like, "Take me instead," and then she was like, "Stop saying that."
Yeah. I love that there's a code of conduct.
I love
though.
that.
Like I appreciate that. You know, the devil has like limits.
The devil's got to follow the rules.
Yeah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you selfless son of a bitch. But I feel like the classic in your face reveal of like the devil, though still in disguise as a human.
Yeah, and how she kind of just like stands up from behind and like raises up, and she's got
I love it.
the eyes. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I had quite a hard time with this next segment because I thought this movie was so good.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
really
sorry. But now it's time for a segment that we like to call The Real Monster.
Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
You're a monster.
I'm not the monster here. You are. You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world. Now tell me, where are the others?
Eat me.
I think this is easy.
Do you? I had the hardest time coming up with a real monster because I was like, I can't find anything wrong with this movie. It might be a perfect movie.
No, but I'll tell
It's
you why.
not.
And
It's
I
not.
think it's because
Casey's eyes just got really big.
my choice is just like a
Like
very
you comparing
appropriate.
this to Pumpkinhead?
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, it's no Pumpkinhead.
No, I think my
What do you
choice
got,
is
Danny?
easy because this movie was my choice for the claustrophobia. So my real monster for devil is just elevators.
Okay.
I just elevators.
Okay.
I'll go in an elevator, but I will not opt for an elevator as my first choice. You just never know.
Okay, so this kind of brings it back to we were wondering if Ben was actually there to hurt her or not. He wasn't going to take the elevator. He was going to take the stairs.
That's right.
And then dude was like, you're going to be gone for however long, whatever. And he's like, basically was like,
true.
okay, fine. So he got on the elevator.
So Ben was innocent in this context.
In this scenario,
Yeah. Like he
He
wasn't
wasn't
he
an
didn't
innocent
have some
person,
ulterior
but-
motive to ride the elevator
Yeah.
or on that given day.
yeah.
Well, there you go.
I like that.
Casey, what do you have for Real Monster?
My real monster is also being in an elevator, but it goes one step further, and it is being in an elevator with strangers because it's one of the most awkward life experiences for some reason. It's really not that big of a deal.
Especially when one of them farts.
If someone,
Like a
Yeah, but it's real
farty
weird. It's like
elevator.
really not that big of a deal, but you have to stay in separate corners and like look down the whole time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No one ever,
And
you
not
can
say
never
anything.
look back. You always have to look forward. That is a weird little, like, as a society, we've created these, like, unwritten rules for elevators.
Some people don't.
usage.
Some people don't do the standard look down opposite corners of the elevator. I know a guy. A guy I work with was on an elevator with some of our gear a few weeks ago. It was probably like a year ago. Anyways, and somebody said, like, a guy on the elevator said, like, how many bodies you got in there? Or like, yeah, like how many bodies you can fit in there. And then, so that was weird to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, and then my coworker said something along the lines of, it depends on how I cut them up. Or like, how many bodies can you fit in there? He's like, it depends on how I cut them up.
That's
I was like,
great.
oh my
He's right.
God.
Wait,
true.
that's
Like-
the best response, though. Fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
What's yours, Zach?
I had a hard time coming up with this real monster, but I finally landed on, and now I'm trying to think why I got to this. But I finally landed on the devil's timing.
Being
I'm trying to
that
think
they are
why.
too organized, or
Yeah, because the devil doesn't care about your timing. The devil doesn't care when you want to be taken.
No, so okay, I think it was along the lines of like the devil has this plan, right, to go in here and get all these people and do whatever. Meanwhile, Detective Bowden and everybody else, the fire department and everyone, they're all working very quickly to figure out this situation and get into the elevator.
Yeah.
And the devil took its time going through until like the last minute when they're about to break in.
Oh.
And then he was like, well, we're on the last guy.
Right. The devil could have just gotten everybody.
Right. We were talking about it earlier. There was no set rules for when the lights were going to go off and he was going to do something. Like, he should have just done it a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like Danny said, he was theatrical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
like putting on a show.
That's how they always get you. Like, the bad guy
like the
does
Bond,
its whole
it's like
thing,
Goldfinger
and then they have
telling
to,
you his plan.
Yeah.
And then Bond's like, well,
my
I have
gosh.
plenty of time to like one up you because you ding dong, you took too long.
Right.
I hate it when they do that.
So, yeah, I think timing, the devil's timing is just
Time management.
time management. There you go.
It's like Dr. Evil. It's like, wait, just shoot them. It's like, no, I'm going to close the door and just assume everything went according to plan. What? I have a gun in my room. We can shoot them. Scott, you just don't get it, do you?
That has to be like one of the best back and forth
It's so
between
good.
Mike Myers and Seth Green during in
Man,
those.
so
I love
good.
Seth Green.
Me too.
So that's it. That's all we have for Devil. Do you guys have anything else to add about Devil?
Devil.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun short movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80 minutes.
Yeah, definitely
that went down smooth.
fun little movie.
Not like that elevator.
But no, I don't have it. It went down like an elevator. Son of a bitch.
Damn. You missed that one, Danny. So that's it for our biggest fears triple feature. Arachnophobia, acoudophobia, and claustrophobia.
Acoudophobia. Had to.
And so our next triple feature is in car trouble.
You've heard of bar trouble. You've heard of
I'm so scared of cars trouble.
Well,
vroom vroom.
amaxophobia.
Automaxophobia?
Are we just turning into a phobia
Amaxophobia.
podcast?
What is that, Casey?
Amaxophobia makes you feel anxious or fearful when you drive or ride in a vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Buckle up,
Danny, what
bitches.
does that remind you of?
That reminds me of horror movies that are set in or around cars.
Oh, okay.
Like if you were to,
Okay.
yeah, now that you mention it, that's what that reminds me of.
Yes, that is right. Car trouble is the theme of our next triple feature. And we've got 3 movies that are sure to get your engines revving. Starting with the Stephen King directed mega hit, Maximum Overdrive, starring Gordon Ramsay. No, what's his name? Not Gordon Ramsay. Not Gordon Ramsay. Starring
Emilio Estevez?
Gordon Bombay. Not Gordon Ramsay.
Sorry, Gordon Ramsay.
Oh man.
He's just yelling at the sharks like, you fucking
He's like in the
donuts."
diner cooking eggs.
I'm trying to think of the line that always makes me cry from the Mighty Ducks.
Like cry because it's sad or cry because it's funny?
Because it's sad when they're in the diner and he's like yelling and he's like, you did this something. Now you have to get us out of it. I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're starting off with Maximum Overdrive. Casey, what's going to be our second car trouble movie?
Joyride.
Oof.
Joyride.
That is.
Yeah.
Starring Paul Walker.
2001, not the new one that comes out July in 2023.
There's a new one?
Oh, there's
Is it a remake or is it just...
Oh no, it's completely different,
Okay.
but it's just called Joyride.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, nothing will
No,
top
this
this
is
one.
the Paul Walker, Steve Zahn thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Levine. Oh, that's the first time that I remember learning who Ted Levine was and his voice.
Oh, even before
Man.
Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, I saw this. I saw Joyride when it came
interesting.
out, whenever that was, and I had not yet seen Silence of the Lambs.
So that just opened the Ted Levine door. You were like, I need more of this.
Exactly.
And they're like, well, let me just...
Yes.
You were scared of him here? Just
Yeah.
wait. Just wait.
Man, he's so good. Okay, so Joyride. And Danny, what is our third movie in our triple feature?
Our third and final movie in our car trouble triple feature is Rob Savage's Dashcam.
Oh, okay.
Which I have not seen. I'm very excited. I have
Rob
only
Savage,
seen,
who did
Host.
Rob Savage did Host during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, which exactly. I think everyone kind of associates that's like the pandemic horror movie because it literally references it. It's all about it's filmed on Zoom, and he also has. I also wanted to pick it. I loved Host. At the time that we're recording this episode, there's advertisements promoting his new movie, which is an adaptation of Stephen King, The Boogeyman, which is coming out, which by the time this is released will probably be out. So I'm just really excited. I've been wanting to see all of his stuff. So leading up to The Boogeyman, the fact that we're doing this theme, I was like, perfect way to kind of force myself to watch this movie. Which isn't to say I need to be forced to watch it. It's just it's good a little inspiration.
So start your engines.
Yeah, start your engins. Yeah, buckle up.
them seatbelts.
And just
put the gas in the car.
Pedal to the metal, yo.
In any order.
Ass, gas, or grass.
Just grip that stick shift.
Rip it and grip it. Grip it and grip it and rip it. Burned rubber does not need warp speed.
That's like when you have to fart and you have to grab your butt cheeks just to fart. Grip it and rip it.
Danny, speaking of grabbing your butt cheeks, where can our listeners find you on social media?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Danny Salem. That's Danny, spelled D-A-N-N-Y, and S-A-L-E-M-M-E. No, you didn't hear that wrong. It's not M-N-E. It's M-M, like the candy, M&Ms. Melt in your butt, not in your hands.
Wonderful. And Casey, where can our listeners find you on social media?
You can just look on the social medias, and I may or may not be there at Wolf Mother Casey.
She may have been reported. We're not sure at this point in time.
And you can find me on social media at Zach Winsick. Make sure to follow How I Met Your Monster on social media at How I Met Your Monster on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and at I Met Your Monster on Twitter and Letterboxd. Thank you all for listening. Now go meet some monsters.